Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Age of Bronze. This is this week's little Total War mod showcasing stream. I put it to a vote to see what mod people wanted to see next, and they voted for this one, Age of Bronze. This is a mod for Rome 2 Total War, and it's set in the Bronze Age, specifically around 1500 BC, I believe. If you're interested in the upcoming Total War Pharaoh, this mod may be of interest to you also, because it's a very similar time period. It's about 300 years, I think, before the start date of Total War Pharaoh, but similar kind of time period. If we go to the Age of Bronze bit here, we've got the campaign screen. At the moment, the mod is still in very, very early development. Until recently, it was basically custom battles only, but now, as of the latest release, there is a functioning campaign. Unfortunately, there are only two playable factions at the moment, which is basically Egypt and the Hittites, with plans to obviously make plenty more of them playable in the fullness of time, but it's still early days yet. I guess we'll play as Egypt. That's probably the faction most people can relate to at the most. The Bronze Age is a very misunderstood and, well, not really understood at all period of human history. I think you get taught about ancient Egypt very briefly at school when you're a kid, and that's about the most that people interact with it. Occasionally, some people who grew up with a Christian background might have read, or Jewish for that matter, actually, might have encountered the Bronze Age a little bit while reading the Old Testament. But aside from that, most people don't really. It's not a period of history that's in the popular consciousness very much. So I think Egypt is probably the ideal starting place for this for most people. Even though I have to admit, I'm very curious about the Hittites. In fact, when Total War Pharaoh comes out, I reckon maybe my first campaign might be as one of the Hittite characters. But anyway, that's by the by. The starting year is 1500 BC. The initial challenge for Egypt is rated as normal. Same for the Hittites, actually. So you've got some unique bonuses and things that are unique to Egypt. The Bounty of the Nile, +4 bonus to food output. That's nice because we've obviously got the fertile Nile River Delta. Swift expeditions, +5% campaign movement range for all armies. Xenophobes, moderate diplomatic penalty with all factions. From the little bit I playtested with this, yes, Egypt does kind of start off surrounded largely by enemies at the beginning. They've also got artisanal excellence, +10% wealth from all industrial buildings. So focusing on industrial buildings is probably a good idea as Egypt. We can read the blurb if you like. Egypt is by far the most powerful state in Africa and one of the most prominent in the known world. Previous dynasties have left Egypt a land of staggering monuments, sublime artisanship, and peerless agriculture. Recently reunited after centuries of internal struggle and foreign invasion, the great pharaoh Thutmose, I don't know how on earth you're actually supposed to pronounce his name, is ready to reclaim Egypt's former empire and stake new claims in the many lands beyond that. The new ruler's ambitions will not be without resistance. Egypt's most immediate threat comes from Kush to the south, where the Nubians have built up a sophisticated state at Kerma and are ready to challenge the pharaoh's might. Other harassment may come from the tribes of Tiemehu to the west, some of whom are itching for plunder in fertile Egypt. More distant yet still dangerous threats move to check Egypt's expansion. Beyond the Sinai Peninsula it lies the formidable state of the Mitanni, and further north the fledgling Hittite Empire expands with frightening pace. Yeah. Sounds fun to me. There's a bit up here as well, if you're interested. I recently went to the British Museum, and I saw a lot of Bronze Age Egyptian stuff there of this particular vintage. You know, big statues, mummies, tablets, engravings, all sorts of gubbins. So this is all very fresh in my mind as I play this, actually, I have to admit, which is very much adds to the experience. Let's go. As you've probably already figured out by now, the mod also has its own soundtrack, which is really quite nice. Thunea, thank you very much for 36 months of subbage. Welcome aboard. Once again, for the 36th time. Give it a minute to load. There we go. 1,000 years ago. Blessings of Horus and Osiris upon you. Mighty Egypt sits at a crossroads in its history. The vile Hyksos have been expelled from our lands, but new threats begin to emerge near and far. To the south, the Nubian lands of Kush and Punt regard our wealth and with envious eyes, and to the west, the marauding tribes of the Libu wait for the ideal moment to strike. However, we are not without possible allies. To the east lie the city-states of Canaan, who may be persuaded to treat with us and perhaps in time come to serve Pharaoh as vassals. Pharaoh may exercise his divine power in many ways. Royal decrees can be invoked to try to bring about a variety of potential benefits. Religious festivals can be held to beseech a chosen god for their favor, and expeditions can be dispatched overseas in search of opportunity. The flooding of the blessed Nile gives life in the deserts of Egypt, but the god Hapi can be fickle in his blessings. A good flood will bring about fertility and prosperity, whilst a flood that is too high or too low may spell disaster. The world is yours to conquer. Go forth in the name of mighty Pharaoh. Here we are. Egypt, ladies and gentlemen. There's all the pyramids looking comparatively brand spanking and new. These are our towns and stuff. We've got Sais, we've got Men-Nefer, we've got Abju, Waset, and we're surrounded by people who don't like us very much, except for Canaan anyway. Here's the little bit of the map that we've got a chunk of right now. Obviously, there's a lot of Western Europe covered here, but for our purposes in the mod, it's not really relevant. It's doesn't really play a part in this much, very much at all. I haven't got a clue what was going on in this part of Europe in the Bronze Age, frankly. I don't think an awful lot was going on over there in the Bronze Age. It's really all about this neck of the woods here, and you'll notice here on the map that only this chunk of the map actually has named provinces and stuff. For our purposes, really, what you're looking at here, this is the playable area of the campaign map, effectively. I think they have plans eventually, the mod team, to expand and do stuff out here as well, but it's not a high priority at the moment. Hang, just hold your horses there, Queen of the Silence. I think you'll find that actually Egypt forcibly and unwillingly donated their collection of ancient relics to France. And then we nicked them from France. So there. If you take it from the French, it's fair game as far as we're concerned. Anyway. So we've got one army down here led by the Pharaoh himself, Thutmose I. His army consists of him on his chariots. Obviously chariots going to play a big part in our battles is Egypt in the Bronze Age. Rather annoyingly, he does have a big Roman eagle on the top of his standard there. I think one thing they've not got around to yet is changing the emblems for the armies here, which is a bit of a shame. I guess we'll go with that. That looks less Roman than the eagle. It's a very small thing. I can see why it's probably very low priority for the dev team. So we've got Egyptian swordsmen, Nile spearmen, and Nile bowmen. We can recruit at the minute Nile spearmen and Nile slingers, as well as a selection of mercenaries, which at the moment it consists of mercenary Nubian bowmen and some mercenary Sherden warriors. These fearsome warriors of the Sea Peoples were originally brought into Egypt's ranks as mercenaries and are now fierce guards of the Pharaoh. I'm going to hire some of those guys right off the bat because they're better than all of my other melee infantry. And they're going to be useful in tipping the balance when we fight the Nubians very, very soon, because they're going to declare war on us pretty much straight away if it goes like it did last time I tried this out for testing purposes. I'm also going to recruit unit slingers. Yeah, that'll do. I'll flesh out the army a bit. We're probably going to want to recruit another army up here relatively soon because the tribes over here in Libya are going to be swarming over to attack us pretty soon as well. However, we need to do a bit of building. Men-Nefer. We're going to build a muster field there so we can actually recruit some proper military units. Sais, let's upgrade to a merchant's wharf, I think. We can expand all of our cities at the start here, which is kind of handy. I want to pay attention here to yeah. So this province has a bit of a problem because it's like 40% Nubian, 60% Egyptian, which is going to give us some public order issues. So I think at Abju here, I'm going to build a gathering place for money purposes. At Waset, I'm going to expand that, and oh damn, I shouldn't have done that. We can't afford to buy anything. How about I unrecruit a unit of spearmen, and there we go. There we are. Build a sanctuary, which is +2 public order per turn, +2 Egyptian cultural influence. There we go. Let's get that underway. That's our initial building purchases done. I don't want to leave that with just an empty slot where you're not building anything in it, because otherwise you get slums forming, and that costs you money to get rid of. So, assuming it works like the vanilla game does anyway, in that regard. Oh my god, there's like 2 gigantic text walls in the chat. I can't read what anyone posted before that. Guys, I appreciate your enthusiasm, I really do, but you see what I have to do now to read your chat messages. I have to now scroll up past you guys to see what everybody else was saying. Small bite-sized chat messages work a lot better, folks, just for future reference. And before someone makes a submod for Western Europe because my Eurocentrism, yeah, there is a let's just say there's a bit of a Eurocentric element to the Total War fan base, shall we say. It's become particularly obvious ever since Total War Pharaoh was announced. I'm just gonna say it. Be good people in various cultures and archaeologists yourself, but it's a difficult one to pin down. Very slight difference across Western Europe at the time. Right, believe them to add a few nations from Europe. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. Very unprofessional of me. It's not confirmed, but as much from the Bronze Age collapse is not confirmed, given the loss of massive text and history keeping, but many historians believe that a very, very, very large group of sea raiders came from the Med and Italy and future Gaul/France to raid the Med, and it's debated that they had a heavy impact on the collapse. Factors or not. Sorry, I had to scroll down to the bottom there. Yeah, I know they're working that into Total Warfare as being a thing. Like the Sea Raiders are going to be a sort of end game event that really sort of pushes you to the limit, and gives you a late game challenge. I believe that's kind of the way they want it to work in that game. Should be interesting. It'd be ideal if artifacts could live with their home cultures, but when I hear of sites and artifacts being destroyed in areas of turmoil, disappearing onto the black market, you're thankful that museums are preserving them. Yes, it is a shame that that does happen. You know, I for what it's worth, I do think that, you know, probably most of these artifacts really ought to go back to their countries of origin, as long as it's, you know, safe for them to be there. I mean, there's such a big fuss about the Parthenon marbles, for example, and I tell you what, I've seen the Parthenon marbles twice, and I tell you what, they're by far not even the most interesting thing in the museum. They're really not. You know, once you've seen them, you've seen them all, really. They're sort of, I mean, they're cool, don't get me wrong, but there were a lot of other things in the museum that were way more interesting, if I'm completely honest with you. Whole lot of fuss over something that's frankly not even that interesting. Right, tech. I'm going to go for army reforms right off the bat. That will allow us to build a levy barracks pretty quick. I mean, you know, I've seen it's a whole big debate, and it's one that's probably not going to be resolved anytime soon, unfortunately. But I do take umbrage with folks who are just sort of like, well, if the British Museum gave back all its artifacts, all it would have is a bunch of tin pot little pots and things dug out of a river somewhere. And I do take umbrage with that, because actually, for my money, the most interesting exhibits in the British Museum are the ones that are actually from Britain. You know, all the Celtic stuff, all the Roman stuff, all the Dark Age, early medieval stuff. I think that's where the collection really peaks for me, actually. Once you get past the Hollywood factor of, oh wow, look at all these cool Egyptian statues, and the mummies. For my money, actually, the Roman and Celtic stuff was really the best stuff in there. You know, you got stuff like the probably my favorite thing in the entire museum is a collection of Roman letters. Scribbled down on wooden tablets that have miraculously somehow been preserved over the years, and they're all located on a little cabinet along the floor, along the bottom. And you can look at them. You can see the handwriting, everything. And above them is a little plaque, and on each one it has a translation of what's written on each of the letters. So you can actually read them and see what they were about and stuff. And it's all just fairly mundane stuff. It's just, you know, people writing letters to each other, saying stuff like, congratulations on the new job, or you owe me money, and here's how much, and blah, blah, blah. But it's all just super interesting because it's written by some dude that lived like 1,000 years ago. And it's there for you to read right in front of you. Anyway, mini rant over. Hello, Dave, Colin's in chat. Yeah, I was hoping Colin would be with us today, but I went to call him just as we were I put the starting scene screen up on the stream. I popped downstairs to get him inside so I could give him his dinner. He's been hanging around here all day, meowing at me and demanding to be fed, and I've been telling him no, because it's not your dinner time yet, you fat cat. And now it actually has come to his dinner time. He's nowhere to be found. So, typical cat. One time you actually want him to come inside and get some food, he doesn't want to. Alright, let's hit end turn. Although one thing we need to do first is have a little word with Megiddo over here and say, hi guys, will you trade with us, please? There we go. Would you even go for maybe a non-aggression pact? Not just yet, apparently. But trade rights is a good start. Right. I think that's everything. Oh. We can issue an edict. Let's do that for this southern province here. Let's go with God King's Decree, appoint scribes, or hold festivals. Public order is still positive at the moment in that province, so I'm going to go with God King's Decree, and let's increase our cultural influence. There we go. That'll help us out, I think, more with public order in the very long term. I think we only get one decree though, aren't we? Yeah, only one edict, so can't do anything for these guys up here. Right, end turn. Yes, Ray Stevenson has been absolutely superb in Ahsoka, and it is an absolute tragedy that he's died so young. He's been probably one of the best things in the entire show. His character. Which is all the more impressive because this is a show that has Thrawn in it, and everybody's been excited about Thrawn as being the baddie, but actually Ray Stevenson's character's come along and been, like, super, super interesting. So, yeah. Fair play to him, and yes, it's a goddamn tragedy that we won't see any more of him, frankly. Right. Egypt issued, population surplus, war declared, Libu against Meshwesh, and Saba against Hagor. And we've recruited our spearmen and whatnot. Very good. Now, waging war down here in Northern Africa is interesting because everywhere we go down here in certain places we're going to get desert attrition, which is really quite harsh, actually. I'm going to move over here onto the coast for now. Recruit some more guys. I don't think we really need that many slingers, actually. How much money we got? 798. I think we can leave another turn before I start building new stuff. Oh, is he in Black Sails? I never got around to watching Black Sails. It's good to know he's in it, though, actually. I'll add it to the list of stuff to watch. How was the Bronze Age, Potomsium? It's pretty good so far. I'm loving the soundtrack for this mod. It's really nice. I assume it's something they've made custom for the mod, because I don't recognize it from anywhere. It definitely reminds me a little bit of playing Pharaoh back in the day, the old city builder. I definitely get Pharaoh vibes from some of the soundtrack, but it's honestly, it's really nice. I'm glad they did it, frankly, because I think the soundtrack for this mod really does a lot of the work in helping you feel like you're being transported back to the Bronze Age, and really helps it feel like you're not just playing Rome Total War 2, and that you're actually playing something completely different. A lot of that definitely is in the soundtrack. Yeah, the fucking ad breaks are coming thick and fast at the moment, aren't they? I can't do it mid-stream, but I think I'm gonna change the ad settings insofar as I actually can, and really significantly reduce the frequency of them, because it annoys me seeing the ad break in progress purple pop up on my right all the time, and knowing that like half my audience can't even watch right now. So it's super irritating. Okay. Nobody's declared war on us yet, which is a little unusual. Let's have a little word with Megiddo, shall we? Hello, guys.
Speak, my friend.
Would you like a non-aggression pact? Yes, they'll have it this turn. Alright, good. We're making friends over here. That's nice. Ads are so out of hand these days. They are, aren't they? If you do mid-roll ads on YouTube, by default it puts like 15 ads in a video that's like an hour long. 15 ad breaks. When I add mid-roll ads to my videos, and I do it these days because man's got to put bread on the table, but I have to I do the auto add mid-roll thing, and then I go into the mid-roll ad manager interface, and then I basically click through and delete 90% of the mid-roll ads until there's like maybe one in the middle if it's a shorter video, or you know, one for each quarter of the video if it's a longer one. But any more than that just seems completely absurd. Like, people are going to stop watching if you put that many ads in it. And, you know, everyone's sort of like, well, just use AdBlock. Well, unfortunately, if you're watching on desktop, you can use AdBlock. If you're watching on your TV, though, or on a mobile device with the app, you cannot AdBlock. You have to stick with the ads, and it's very annoying. The alternative is obviously give YouTube money and have YouTube Premium, but It feels, I mean, you know, I'm tempted sometimes, especially since YouTube Premium does disproportionately reward video creators to make up for the lack of ad revenue. They do overcompensate. But at the same time, it feels like a really kind of annoying to have to give YouTube money to solve a problem that they have created on purpose. You know, it almost feels like protection money, you know? So I object to it on that basis.
Prepare your tomb.
Here we go. This is what I was expecting.
The Lion of the Nile will draw the sword and sheathe it in your entrails.
Okay. That's what I was waiting for. A child has died. Hatshepsut has died. Oh dear. Let's have a look at the family tree, actually. I haven't shown you that yet. Here we go. There's Thutmose the First, is his wife. There's his kids, and that one just died, apparently. So did that one. Thutmose the Second there, he's our heir. He's our future pharaoh. At the moment, we've got, the only other politicians are this guy for the cult of Sekhmet. That's the only political faction we have. The politics screen is kind of weird for Egypt, because it's like 94% pharaonic dynasty, and yeah, this tiny 6% is cult of Sekhmet, which is interesting, which means we have the maximum influence at the moment. So plus 20% research rate, plus 3% public order per turn, plus 15% tax rate, plus 12% morale for all land units. What's weird is if you go down to exalted, suddenly all your units have minus 10% morale. But then if you go to Beloved, they go down to 8%, plus 8% morale. I think that's a bug. I'm going to go ahead and say that's a bug, and the mod makers probably need to fix that. Somebody's put a minus instead of a plus in there somewhere where there shouldn't be. But obviously, yeah, as pharaonic Egypt, we're going to want to... We start with almost total influence over our government, and we want to try and maintain that for as long as possible. So... Right, so these lads have declared war on us now. Any more mercenaries available? Ah, another unit of these guys. That'll do. Let's go on the march. Now, bit by bit here, I want to make sure that we're not going to get attrition. Okay, yeah, we should be good here. When I was testing this earlier, I tried going across here and ended up walking straight through a goddamn desert and lost nearly half my army to attrition. Great pharaoh, this guy right here. Absolute genius. Might as well hire you guys as well. Okay, so that's that in progress. These guys are probably... Either of these factions are probably going to declare war on us as well pretty soon. Our income is at the moment like plus 1,000 a turn, which means we can probably support another army up here. This we want to upgrade to a merchant stall, or a town square would be nice actually, because it gives you public order instead of taking it away. But it's a little expensive for us right now. I mean, we literally are seven, gold short of being able to afford it, which is actually slightly irritating. If I unrecruited those mercenaries. Which I can't, but if I hadn't recruited those mercenaries, we could have bought it. Harumph, never mind. Maybe I'll just leave it another turn. Sorry, just catching up with the chat there for a moment. Alright, end turn. We're good. Pharaoh is on the march. And, I'm sorry, who? Oh, Kush as well. Okay. So, both the factions to our south are at war with us now. Research complete army reforms. Yeah, that's a vanilla Rome 2 image there, which hopefully eventually they're going to get rid of and replace with something a bit more era appropriate. But we've teched up. That's good. So we've got, what have we got available? National Army, more campaign map movement range, more upkeep. Enables the recruitment of rank 1 champions. Enables building of archery range. Tactics. Grain rations. Interesting. Campaign fortified camps. Okay, and then civil. That'll give us access to a bunch of... Let's go with the first civil tech for now, I think. March you further down here. I don't know what this is supposed to represent here on the map. This little sort of encampment here. You do have access to the forced march stance in Age of Bronze. Which I only mention this because it's notable that you don't have that in Divide et Impera. If you're used to watching the Rome 2 series on YouTube, you can force march in this mod, which is handy sometimes. I'm not going to right now, though. I think we're just going to stand there menacingly. I think they might have more than one army. I refuse to believe this is their entire army. I reckon they've got another one out here somewhere that I should probably be worried about. Meanwhile... Let's upgrade this to a town square. We want to upgrade anything else for the moment? I don't think we really can. We might be able to build something, though, in Men Nefer. A well, a plaza. Wells and plazas, man. Takes me back to playing Pharaoh back in the day. Outskirts. Ooh, that's wealth from industry. You know what? Let's go with outskirts, because as Egypt, we do get an inherent bonus to industrial income. You mostly watch YouTube on your TV, so premium's worth it to you? Yeah, I mostly watch it on my tablet, so the temptation is getting stronger and stronger every day as I watch more and more videos that have a stupid amount of mid-roll ads in them. Finally able to make a stream because you can't sleep, Renana. Well, welcome to the stream, my insomniac friend. I know that feeling. Alright, let's hit enter. See what happens. A son comes of age. Amen Messe. Having developed his skills, this young man is now ready to serve the common good. Faction rises. Mari, a new power has emerged from the chaos of war over here somewhere, apparently. Interesting. Over there in Mesopotamia. Okay. Looking at this right now, and I'm wondering if we can try and make some other friends somewhere. Hi.
I greet you as
Would you like a trade agreement? No, you wouldn't, would you? No. We've got that inherent disadvantage of being as Egypt and therefore hated by everybody. It's a bit like being the English in the modern day. Yes, I went there. Alright, we better kick this off, I suppose. We're going to have to fight these guys, plus whatever garrison they've got at Questia, although right now that doesn't look like a lot. 6 units, club levies, spear levies, and local slingers. I think it's about time we got ourselves some Bronze Age combat, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know about you guys, but I think it would be a good idea. I'm just wondering what to upgrade this with. Merchant's Wharf, let's do that. Keep our income ticking over. Let's do this. Alright, do a little quick save. And attack! Let's do this. Okay, so that's their army. Nubian spearmen, Nubian archers, Malek Krobar, which is their king's bodyguard unit. And then there's the levies reinforcing them versus the Judgment of Anubis, led by Thutmosis I himself on his 32 chariots. Our Egyptian swordsmen, our Nile spearmen, our Nile bowmen, our 2 units of mercenary Sherden warriors who are probably going to carry us today, I suspect, and then our slingers and our mercenary Nubian bowmen. Let's go. I'm looking forward to this. I am looking forward to it. This is going to be fun. This is going to be like a little preview of what Total War Pharaoh is going to be like in my mind. But I think I ought to stress as well that Age of Bronze, I think, certainly is still going to have a place, even with Pharaoh coming out, because obviously Pharaoh is going to be a very different type of game from what I can gather. Age of Bronze is definitely your more traditional Total War experience, whereas Pharaoh is looking a little more almost Crusader Kings inspired with the whole sort of politics thing they're doing in that game. It looks kind of interesting, but anyway. Yeah, start deployment. It's a settlement in the distance there. That would be the town itself, wouldn't it, I suppose? Alright, you've got the spearmen, and then all of our ranged units. They're out in front right now. I'd rather they were behind, I think. Has it stuck my Sherden warriors on the flanks? Because that's exactly where I want them to be. Yeah, it has. Brilliant. Although I think I'd like my Egyptian swordsmen in the back as a kind of reserve force. So let's reconfigure this slightly. There we go. Something a bit more like that. And then we've got Pharaoh and his chariots at the back in the middle. Should we have a look? Let's get a close-up of everybody. There he is. There's the Pharaoh himself with that amazing hat of his. All the wonderful chariots. Very colourful outfits. I like it. These guys should hopefully kick ass. I hope. And we've got... Whoa, dude, I like your boat on a stick. That's pretty neat. These guys would be our probably slingers, I'm guessing. There's the Egyptian swordsman. Very nice. And these are our Nile spearmen out in front. Very, very basic. You've got a big spear with a bronze tip on it and a cowhide shield, and that's basically all you've got going for you. And then at the flanks we've got these guys, who are these sea people mercenaries, who are definitely a bit better equipped, and will hopefully kick ass and pretty much destroy anything that gets in front of them in this particular battle. Pretty cool outfits though, huh? Very nice. So, that's our army. Boat Stickman is your favourite. Yeah, I think me too. I have to agree with you on that. So this is the Nubian army down here. Pretty similar, really. Very basic in terms of equipment. Obviously, slightly different fashion choices though. I like the leopard skin stuff they've got going on. That's very snazzy. Reminds me of the what they call the Morians, the Indian faction from Dividea et Impera, where they've got those bodyguard cavalry with the tiger skin cloaks that just look absolutely amazing. Oh, another mod I nearly added to the list today of ones that you guys could vote for was Broken Crescent. Speaking of Total War games that are not Eurocentric, Broken Crescent is a Medieval 2 mod that shifts. It's set in the Middle Ages, but it shifts the entire focus of the map away from Western Europe and towards the Middle East and Asia. And Broken Crescent is one of the finest mods I think ever made for a Total War game. It's so good. We definitely need to showcase that one of these weeks. We'll get through them all eventually. I just did a vote today to see which one people wanted to see first. So, let's march, everybody. It's definitely a bit of an early game army, this, isn't it? Very basic units. Kind of curious to see what the whole roster ends up looking like. I forget who played in Broken Crescent. I think it was one of the smaller Arabian factions. I've done a few Broken Crescent campaigns. I did one as the Kilikian Armenians, which was quite fun. I did one as the Byzantines, because that's also quite fun. I'm pretty sure I did one as Antioch, the Crusader state of Antioch. And I think I did one as either I think it was the Cumans? It was one of the eastern sort of nomadic factions. I kind of wish you could play as the Mongols in Broken Crescent, but you can't, unfortunately. They are an emergent threat, though, in that mod. Closest you can get is you can play as the Kitai, I think, which are sort of local cousins of the Mongols, right on the eastern edge of the map that you can play as. Basically, Mongol gameplay, but you're not actually the Mongols. In fact, the Mongols become a problem for you really early on because you're the first guys in their path as they emerge onto the map. So, check it out, Cabals. How are these guys doing? They're just sort of holding position. Oh, they brought up their levies from the town, I see.
What are your orders?
The Crusades are such a good setting for Total War. You know, It's definitely one of those zoomed-in little areas that you can focus on quite well. I mean, the Kingdoms campaign for the Crusades was pretty darn good back in the day. I think particularly because you have two very distinct and separate cultures to work with as well, if you focus right in on just the Crusades and not the surrounding stuff. You have two, if you include the Byzantines, maybe three, like distinct cultures with distinct unit rosters that really helps keep things fresh, I think. So, you know, unlike in Western Europe where you've got knights battering other identical looking knights, and archers shooting other identical looking archers, it's mixed up a little bit with the Crusades, isn't it? Where's their, there's the head honcho. Let's have a look. Is this their king, this guy here? I was expecting him to look a bit more, kingly, I guess. Unless it can't be Fan Dude, can it? Which one of you is the king? Who among you is in charge? I think it must be this guy, because he has a slightly unique looking shield compared to the rest of them. He's not bedecked in finery quite like old Pharaoh is over here. He doesn't have a cool hat. Actually, to be fair, he does have a cool hat. It's just not a unique one. Oh wait, no, there he is. I think that might be it. Wait, no, I'm looking at the wrong unit. Lol. Yeah, I think that's him rushing to the front there with his little fan bearer. He's doing all the pointing, so... Oh, here we go. It's starting. So the spearmen have an ability called Repel Chariots. Not really relevant today, eh? It does give you missile block and bracing, though, I suppose, so might as well activate it, I guess, for now. Ooh, they actually changed formation. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting that. And the Sheridan Warriors, they have Frenzy, which gives them a big charge bonus in exchange for losing a lot of fatigue. Bring them around the flanks. Let's consider moving the chariots, maybe? Actually, they've got a lot of spearmen at the back here protecting their archers, so maybe we won't move the chariots just yet. High risk, high reward, these guys, because they do kind of have our king, the Pharaoh himself, guarding them. Looks like the enemy's already being repelled over here, which is good news. Is this like a timed thing? It is. They adopt the formation temporarily, and then
one of our units has used all its ammunition.
They lose it again. Oh, here we go. Forgot to use the ability. There we go. Get some close-ups. See our little mercenaries doing their thing. Love it. Right, I think it might soon be chariot o'clock. Go, my chariots. They got like little sides on them. Can't tell.
They will bleed for us.
Whoa, lots of arrow fire from both sides right now.
What are your orders? Swords!
Looks like the mercenaries are kicking ass though. These guys are losing decisively. They're routing. In fact, they all are now. Very good. Just keep going, you lunatics. Go on. have at the enemy.
We are at your command.
Now these guys are armed with bows, but also they can do a fair bit of damage on the charge, I think. There they go. Run them down. Roadkill.
One of our units has used all its ammunition. Our general is under attack.
We're hitting these spearmen kind of in the flank. I don't know if this is a good idea or not. It don't seem to be having a very good effect there, actually. Let's get out of there. Oh yeah, that's the Royal Guard, as a matter of fact. So yeah, we're not going to have much success there, I suspect. Alright, Pharaoh, wheel it around, my friend. Let's charge into the back of them. And keep shooting your arrows while you're at it as well. Point blank archer shooting. Nice.
The battle is turning in our favor.
Yep, I'd say we pretty solidly won this one. I was about to call him Marcus then, but I realised he's not Marcus in this one, is he? He's... I don't know. It's an Egyptian name that begins with M. You guys run out there and catch those archers who are making a nuisance of themselves.
Swords! Yeah! Battle ready!
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
Novice spearman!
Boys up a bit. Oh, hello, there's their king.
Swords!
You guys chasing down the archers? Yep, good, good,
One
good.
of our units has used all its ammunition.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how chariots work in Total War Pharaoh. In Rome 2, they can only pretty much work one way, which is they have missile weapons and they trample enemies with charges. Chariots are pretty much hard-coded. I think I've seen the Divide et Impera developers talk about that before. You can't really change how chariots behave in this game. They all act like scythe chariots. But it'll be super interesting to see how they decide to tackle chariots in Pharaoh. You know, are they going to be like cavalry, or are they going to be more like mounted infantry?
Kill! 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 Orders, my lord! Engage! What are your orders?
Oh, they can do flaming shot as well. Nice. Just noticed that.
We are at your command!
Our bows have a pretty impressive range on them, don't they? You guys must be knackered by now. Yeah, they are. They're exhausted. They've been busy carrying the entire battle.
One of our units has used all its ammunition.
How are the chariots doing? They're winded.
Forward! Melee fighters ready!
Frenzy charge. Let's see them off. They're about to run anyway. There it is, victory. Run them down. Unfortunately, these guys are so knackered that I don't think they're ever going to catch up, really. Oh my God, just noticed all these guys getting trampled here as the chariots pass through. Oof. Oh, chariot wheel right over the neck, but man has somehow survived. Where's their king? As usual, very difficult to pick out from the crowd. He cunningly disguised himself as one of his regular soldiers, so I wouldn't be able to see him. Now I see why his plan was clever. Alright, there we go, that's it. Quit battle. Decisive victory. We lost 719 guys. Most of that was our infantry, our melee infantry. How did the swordsmen end up in combat? They should have been in reserve the entire battle. What happened there? Maybe they took casualties from enemy archers, actually. That could have been it. Well, that's that dealt with. I'm still convinced they have a large army out there somewhere, though. We'll enslave them. We are Egypt, after all. Imperium level's gone up as well. Nice. And, oh, yeah, we'll just auto-resolve that. One surviving garrison unit. Oh, what do we want to do? Occupy, loot, subjugate, sack, raise, or liberate? I think I want to... Do I want to loot it? Money gained 5,000. Oh, that would be quite a lot, wouldn't it? However... Actually, the only real difference is the conquest penalty for the next turn only. Aside from that, it's just a -1 per turn, starting at -12. So I'm gonna loot. I'm gonna take that 5 grand. Thank you very much. Carry it back to Egypt with me. And Punt has been destroyed completely. All right, nice. I thought they had a larger army somewhere, but apparently not. However, bear in mind we are actually at war with Kush, which is the much larger faction down here as well. Off to a good start though. You guys reinforcing? Yeah, good. Still going to need fixing up. And then what do I want to spend some of that dosh on? Upgrade the barracks. That wouldn't be a bad idea, would it? That would allow us to recruit chariots for one thing, which we can't do right now. So yeah, let's absolutely do that. And then what else? We got +7 food a turn at the moment. Public order is looking a little ropey though. Would upgrading our main settlements decrease public order at all? No. Lose 1 food and add 1 squalor, but aside from that, no public order issues. So, let's upgrade some cities, I guess. The entire unit is king, they rotate daily. It's just an entire committee. How's the run going? So far, so good, Craig, actually. Off to a very, very nice start. We've just knocked out one enemy faction right at the beginning. We're still at war with Kush to the south, though, and any day now, one of these factions over here of Libyan tribesmen are going to declare war on us too, in which case things will probably get spicy. There's Megiddo over here, who we're on friendly terms with at the moment, which is good. They're next door to us. But yes, Pharaoh is off to a marvellous start. In fact, we can upgrade him a bit, actually. So this is the skills menu. Now, it's been so long since I last played Vanilla Rome 2, I don't actually remember what the Vanilla Rome 2 skill trees looked like, so I don't know if this is at all modded or different. I'm so used to the Divide et Impera one that I couldn't tell you. But I guess we'll take a rank of Commander, because that's all that's available. Can we recruit anything right now? We can. We can get some Nile clubmen. How do they compare to the spearmen? Better attack, lower defense. Standard stuff. Less weapon damage. More AP. Slightly better armor. Slight bonus versus infantry. Guess we'll take a couple of units of clubmen then. Alright. And the game just crashed. Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the mod is in very early stages, as I mentioned. It's buggy. It is crashy. This does happen, I'm afraid. I'm going to run it up right now and see if that's a repeating crash or not. Just make sure it's active in the mod manager, which it should be. Yeah. I don't know when our last save was, though, unfortunately. Yes, anyway, the mod is, as I said, in very early stages of development, and instability is to be expected, especially considering how ambitious this total conversion actually is. It's rare to see a total conversion mod like this in a modern Total War game, to be honest with you. Until, you know, a couple of the medieval mods that came out for Attila and Rome 2, nobody had ever really done it. And this is one of the first as well. So one has to be patient with these things. Oh, not new campaign. What am I doing? Load campaign. Autosave. Where was the autosave, though? That's the question. Hopefully before the turn end. Yeah, I hope, but you never know. Just FYI, I voted for Vikings. Sure, they wouldn't have crashed. To be fair, actually, Viking Invasion 2... In fact, most of the Rome 2 mods are incredibly stable. Because, well, aside from the fact that... Not Rome 2, sorry, Rome Remastered. The Rome Remastered mods are very stable because, A, Rome Remastered is 64-bit, and B... what was the B? Oh yeah, Rome Remastered has like a proper crash logging system which allows modders to really quickly figure out what the problem is, which is apparently very, very handy. The original Rome Total War did not have that. That's a feature of the remaster that's incredibly welcome. Which is why, for example, we played Arthurian Total War last week. That was one of the most crashy, buggy mods in the old Rome Total War back in the day, but in remaster it is just smooth as silk. Had no issues with it whatsoever. Basically a combination of being 64-bit and the modders being able to actually having the tools available now to figure out what was causing crashes. So, let's try this again. It did not crash this time, very good. Troubled populace. Yeah, they're not very happy here, are they? Ooh, there's a gold mine here. Very nice. War declared Megiddo and Edom. Now you want curry and Italy 2p. That's a really good idea. I should order a takeaway. Once I'm done with the stream, I could really go for a curry right now, since you mention it. Oh, it was Craig that brought the curry up, I see. But yeah, either way, yeah. Could do with one, actually. Let's see, outskirts. What do we want to build? Then a pottery workshop, bartering square. Both of these will make the public unhappy. But it would make us money. That one's going to be... That gives you wealth from mining, which is not really relevant for this province. So we'll go with a pottery workshop, I guess. And we'll expand this, and we'll go... Oh, balls. Alright, forget that. We need to build something that will make people happy here. What's the building tree for this like? You've got the town square, festival field, and beer hall. They'll give you wealth from entertainment and also public order. What do the temples give you? Oh, some of them can give you a lot of public order. Okay, looks like the Shrine of Horus gives you a ton of public order. And also reduces banditry and gives you Egyptian cultural influence and gives you civil research rate. That's kind of neat. Ooh, some of these temples have some interesting effects. This reminds me of the original Rome Total War, this does, with the different gods' temples you could build.
Wealth
Gave you
beyond measure, outlander.
different things.
Should sort it.
Thanks, Craig. Much appreciated. There you go. Someone just bought me dinner. You know what? You know what? Being a streamer sometimes pays off. Appreciate it, man. Thanks very much. Yeah, I'll get the whole hog now. I'll get not just a curry, but I'm gonna get the rice, the fucking naan bread, and some bargies to go with it. I think. Appreciate it, my dude. Right. Although if you go Amun-Ra, that's the only way you can get a grand temple complex in the end. Interesting. Horus looks better though. Specifically for public order. Either way, we need to build a sanctuary first, so let's just do that. And start saying you're hungry on stream more often, apparently, so. Okay. Now we just got to worry about where those dastardly Nubians are at. And we don't really have any agents, do we? Can we fix that? Recruit agent. Can we recruit a spy? Looks like we can. I like this guy, he's got more line of sight. You, my friend, will be scouting ahead for us. What was your name? Tutankhamun! Brilliant. Yes, you're going to be doing some spying for us, my friend. You need to know where those Nubians are so I can fight them properly. In the meantime, not much else going on at the moment. I'm still a little surprised these guys haven't declared war on me. Hello, Megiddo.
The pleasures of my household are yours to enjoy.
I don't suppose I can make you a client stay, huh?
The necessary burdens of diplomacy.
For 100 gold? Nah, that was never going to work. You want military access? There's not really any point, is there, actually? What about Saba? Hello, Saba. Would you like trade rights?
Now, friend,
one thing I'm really looking forward to in Pharaoh is the fact that they're keeping the resource system from Troy, which means that trade rights in Pharaoh will be about actually exchanging resources rather than just getting a trade agreement that gives you a blanket extra sum of money every turn. One of my favorite things about Troy was that system where it was like, look, I've got fuckloads of timber, however I can't feed my army with timber, so would anybody out there like my timber in exchange for some grain to feed my troops? And you could do it that way. And you could end up actually, through a precarious balance of trade agreements with various factions, you could end up importing enough grain to be able to fund an army much larger than a faction of yours really ought to be able to afford. It was a really nuanced and interesting system, which I am so fucking glad is coming back in Pharaoh. Because I like it way more than this. This is just really basic and dumb and really is exactly the same as it's been since Rome Total War. You know, it's sort of kind of... It was about bloody time they innovated on this a bit. Anyway, success chance is low, unfortunately. How about a non-aggression pact? Sometimes they go for that. Not today, though.
Friendship does not rely on a form of words, my friend. It is found in deed.
Oh dear, another... I can see how this is going to go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is in fact already somehow nearly 7 o'clock. I've just checked my watch, and by God, sirs and madams, It is suddenly really late. What the heck happened there? Our time is basically up. I could reload the game and play for another 10 minutes, but I don't think we'd get through. We don't think we'd achieve very much in 10 minutes. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Age of Bronze. Thank you for tuning in. If you've been watching this on YouTube, because I am going to put these mod showcase streams on YouTube, I think. I did for the Arthurian one anyway. If you've been watching on YouTube, let me know what you thought of Age of Bronze. And I'm sure some of you will probably have some opinions to share when it comes to Total War Pharaoh, because that's a game people have lots of opinions about, including me, apparently. Either way, I look forward to reading your comments, and for those of you who are here with me live right now on Twitch, thanks for tuning in, folks. Hope you enjoyed Age of Bronze. Crashes aside, I think it's a really, really cool mod, very promising, and I look forward to seeing what they do with it in the future. Next week, we will be back next Thursday with another showcase of a different mod. I'll put it up to a vote potentially like today, or maybe I'll just pick whatever I feel like at the time. But there is so many Total War mods for us to get through, and I kind of, on some level, I want to do a proper full campaign with almost all of them, but it's going to take probably the next 20 years of my life to ever actually realize that dream of doing a proper YouTube campaign with every one of my favorite Total War mods. So I thought it would be nice for the meantime to actually do a little showcase of all of them, so you can see a little bit of them and I can tell you about why I like them so much. So that's what we're going to keep doing for a little while. You know, just sort of handily enough, it kind of dovetails nicely into the release of Total War Pharaoh in October. So, you know, that's kind of handy, isn't it? Really. Have you ever finished a campaign? Yeah, Shogun 2, I finished the campaign, and I'm pretty sure I finished the campaign in the original Shogun as well. Did I ever finish in Rome Total War? I think I did finish a Rome Total War campaign once as the Brutii. However, it comes with the caveat that I was sort of hot seat playing it with my brother at the time. As in, I'd play a bit of the campaign, and then when my time was up, he'd hop over into the seat and carry on playing the campaign for a while. So I kind of co-op completed a Rome Total War Brutii campaign, and by completed I mean we conquered the entire world map in every single province, I think, in the end. But aside from that, normally I don't finish campaigns as in the sense that I get to the victory conditions. I actually just play until I've reached a point where I feel like I'm satisfied that the story is done. And that the challenge has been, you know, like when you reach that tipping point where the game has stopped being challenging, that's usually when I stop playing, essentially. So, you know, let me think. Oh, the Invasia Barbarorum campaign on YouTube we did finish. Unfortunately, though, the final video of it never ended up going up because my hard drive broke, which had the footage on it. But the final missing episode of that LP is where we did actually complete the campaign, in the sense that we actually achieved the victory conditions. So that one technically did complete. To this day, it annoys me a little bit as well, because I had like a whole custom ending cinematic that I made for the campaign and everything, and it was all on that hard drive that just went kaput. Never mind. Brutii was always fun. Scipio, a bit of a mole to start with. Most of the time I actually played as the Julii. The Brutii are who I beat it as, but I usually played as the Julii. Because as the Julii, you have the opportunity to close off the northern end of the map, which stops the other Roman factions from expanding all the way into Russia like they normally do. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you. I'm just going to see who's live that we can raid. Plenty of people, as it turns out. I'm going to raid Big V, though, who's playing some Baldur's Gate 3, because I think he deserves it the most. So, start raid. Head on over to Big V's channel, everybody. Say hello to him. Watch a bit of Baldur's Gate 3 if that's what you fancy. And I will see you again tomorrow for more Baldur's Gate 1, actually. We're in the middle of Durlag's Tower at the moment in Baldur's Gate 1, so tune in for that. And then it'll be more Baldur's Gate on Friday. No, Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. Baldur's Gate tomorrow and on Saturday, and then Morrowind on Sunday as per usual. So, see you folks. Have a good one. Toodaloo.